Hi, welcome to the channel today. And today I'm going to do a little bit different. I'm going to be talking about what you should plant in March for, I'm in Texas, zone 9A. What you should plant in March and what you should wait until April to plant. We've pretty much gotten past most of the things we can plant that are cool season plants. I am basing this on the Agrilife Extension Service handout. This is actually, I think, for Orange County. It also, I looked at the Orange County one and the Jefferson County one, where Beaumont's at, and they're both exactly the same. There's really no difference, so they collaborated together to put them, say the same thing. The one in Orange just looks a little bit better. It prints out a little bit darker, is the only reason I'm using it. And I'm going to be going over plants that you can plant in March and other plants you should wait until you plant in April, because there is a difference. And certain plants can handle some cool weather and not affect their overall production. And other plants, if they get cold weather on them, they get stunted and they never produce as well. When I was in West Texas, cotton was that way. Cotton would be, if it got too cool temperatures, it would shock that cotton, and cotton planted after that would actually produce more than the cotton planted early. So I know it works in agriculture. It works here also. I'm going to be going by alphabetical order because that's what the list is in. The first one is bush beans. Now, bush beans for here, it does talk about our approximate last killing frost is March 5th. That's different than our last freeze. Our last freeze may be earlier than that. But, and one thing I learned in garden forums is some people talk about frost as being freezing temperatures. I was always brought up they were different. A frost is when you get those ice crystals that form, on the leaves or on your car windshield, on the grass, and it may be above freezing, but you still have a frost, and that frost can kill any of the frost tender plants, and that's going to be your summer plants. So I do make that distinction because a lot of people up north, they keep saying, "Oh, we got to kill in frost. We got to kill in frost." They're talking about 32 degrees. Down here, we may not get to 32 degrees after this next freeze. But because tonight, that's why I'm doing it inside. It's cold outside. It's supposed to get down to 25, 24 degrees tonight. It's really a pretty looking day outside as long as you don't actually go outside because there's a wind and it is cold. But the skies were very clear. I did set my plants out because we got into the 40s. I'm trying to get these things hardened off, and this is our first really pretty day we've had. I have put some out, these plants out some on a cloudier day, but you will notice something on this leaf right here. Can you get that focused in? That's what you see as sunburn. When you get like that, the sun was just too intense for it today, had not been hardened off enough. And since it was one of the lower plants, even the lights inside was not hitting it as much. So today it hit the full force of it. It's not going to hurt the plant any, but I didn't put these plants out till about 2 o'clock. We brought them in at 5 o'clock, so I only got 3 hours of sun, and that plant there was already starting to suffer. I want to get these plants planted. These aren't bean plants or tomatoes. I do want to get these plants planted out on Saturday, maybe, if I can get a break in the weather. At least some of them. But the reason I say March 5th is because that's our last killing frost date. So you should be okay planting them then. You also bind yourself when you plant seeds. It's going to take 3 or 4 or 5 days for these seeds to come up. Now, what you should not do is say, you're going to look at this thing, so it says I can plant March 5th. Let me go plant the plants. Look at your long range forecast. And when you look at that long range forecast, remember a frost can happen anytime from 38 degrees or below. So if you're looking at the 10-day forecast, which our Greg Bostwick, our local weatherman, does not like long range forecasts. He said they're highly inaccurate. And that's true, but it's all we got. So if you look at that long range forecast and it's saying we're going to hit 36, 38 degrees, hold off on your planting. There's no reason to plant. Just hold off a week or two, because that 36 could turn into 32, or it could turn into a killing frost, and you just got these plants coming up and you hit that frost, it could kill them. So now, if you got plenty of seed, May not be a problem if you're planting beans. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to look about, first week in March, I'm going to look at it, and if it looks like we got clear weather, I'll go ahead and plant them. But if it does show up a cold snap that may come in there, I may hold off. Because you got from March 5th all the way to April 30th. So you got plenty of time. You're just trying to get in there early because you're trying to beat the heat, but don't go too early on them. But also, guys, I know some people planted their corn, they planted some beans a week or two ago. They ain't got a chance. That stuff's not going to make it if you plant it in the ground, because 24 degrees is going to wipe everything out. All right? I left some tomatoes out on the porch last night. It got down 29 degrees last night. They're toast. Now, if they were in the ground, these are my micro dwarfs, they might come back on a 29. They're not going to come back on a 24 degrees, okay? Pole beans are actually show it to be March 1st. I don't really know why, but maybe they take longer to germinate. But pole beans, first week in March, look to be start planting them. Don't plant them before then. And like I said, look at your forecast. The beets, we actually got some Merlin beets here. They are one of the last ones you can still plant to March 1st and still get a crop out of them. They're supposed to plant those from February 1st to March 1st. So that's one, you better plant them now because you're running out of time. And I won't plant them, of course, until we get this last weather, but I'll still, it'll be a later crop, but I still make it. Broccoli, it should have been February 15th, and I think that's for transplants. You're not going to make it, okay? If you had planted them, this freeze is probably going to kill them anyway. Sometimes broccoli just don't work. And that's some of the problem I see with people. I see broccoli in the stores. Is hey, at the big box stores, hey, they got these broccoli plants, and they plant them, in March, and they just don't have enough time before it gets hot before they bolt on you. So Brussels sprouts, you should have planted them back in the fall. Cabbage, it's again February 15th. You kind of late on cabbage. Carrots is February 15th. You can get by with that, even planting them now. Got to keep them moist, bring them up, but you're gonna need some protection on them when it starts getting hot. You want to plant them, like if you just plant them in amongst your tomatoes, you might be all right, but you don't want to plant them, out there in the open by themselves right now, because you just don't have enough time for them to go ahead and make before they start bolting on you, or just turning, dying from the heat. Again, if you're planting them in a raised bed, you probably still got some time to plant them, but you want to do it as quick as you can. Cauliflower, same thing, you're too late. Collards are a little bit later because they are a little more heat tolerant. Sweet corn, you have from March 5th to April 15th. Now, if you're going to be growing sweet corn, especially if you're going to be growing field corn also, the way you want to do this, you want to plant your field corn, your sweet corn first, plant it first week in March, wait 3 to 4 weeks, then plant your field corn. That way you'll have a gap in there, so when your sweet corn is pollinating and putting up its pollen, it's not going to get pollinated by the field corn. So that you can't space them far enough apart on a small farm even. So don't try it at a house. It's just that pollen goes everywhere. And what happened is that field corn will pollinate the sweet corn, and it'll make the sweet corn not taste as well. Cucumbers. It says March 15th through May 1st. So what it is, cucumbers are sensitive to the cold. So don't plant them too early. Don't plant them now. Don't plant them next week, because they'll come up, you'll get a cold snap, and it will dwarf those plants, and they just won't produce as well. You want to make sure your stuff is your soil starting to warm up, so you can get those plants growing. Eggplant, anywhere from March 1st to April 15th, and again, that's from transplants. That's not planting seeds. It doesn't say that on the list, but just from knowing this stuff, you need to get them things up and going. Though they can take the heat a little bit better than some of your tomatoes can. Garlic, should have them planted in the fall, so there's no use planting any garlic. Kohlrabi, they're showing all the way up to March 1st, so still maybe, and I still think though that's going to be transplants. I don't think that's from seeds. Leaf lettuce. Now, your leaf lettuces is from February 1st to April 1st. But what you want to do with the leaf lettuce is you want to plant a small section of leaf lettuce wait 2 weeks, and then plant another section. Wait 2 weeks, plant another section. That way you can harvest this section, and you got it taken care of. 2 weeks later, you harvest the next section. If you plant all at one time, it's going to mature all at one time. So that way you can spread your harvest out. You don't need a big 8-foot long a row of lettuces. 2 to 4 feet is plenty, unless you eat a lot of lettuces. But you think every 2 weeks you're coming up with another crop. So so don't sit there and think, let's go ahead and plant a bunch of leaf lettuces all at one time. A little bit at a time. Don't plant it all at one time, because you're gonna get a whole bunch of lettuce, nothing to do with it, then it's all gonna bolt and you're gonna be out of lettuce. Mustard's kind of the same thing, February 15th to April 1st. So you can also plant your mustard. Mustard would kind of be the same thing. You can that way you'll get, better quality leaves. They won't be so big. Okra. It's showing okra from April 1st to July 15th. Don't plant your okra too soon. I would even say wait middle of April earliest. It loves the heat. It hates cold soils. So if that soil is cold, you can plant the seed. It ain't coming up. And the longer that seed sticks to the ground, the longer you can have something that eats the seeds, or something that's going to, that's just going to rot in the ground. It's not going to germinate well. It's not going to do well. Even if it does germinate, those plants are not going to take off until that soil gets warm and growing. I know in West Texas, they didn't plant corn to May 20th. I mean corn. They didn't plant cotton to May 20th. Okra's kind of the same thing. Now they had a later frost date, so they had to plant a little later than us. But honestly, May 1st for us, I think, be a fine day to be able to plant your okra. Let that soil warm up. That way, that okra will come up and it'll come up growing. And it too, excuse me, it too, you want to space it out. You don't want to plant a whole bunch of okra. I would plant okra about every 30 days. Plant some okra. That way, your nematodes are probably going to take your okra out. It's not going to grow all summer, especially if you get a lot of rain. So plant a little bit of okra and then plant more, so that way you spread out your harvest. Onions, guys, it says February 15th. You should have already had your onions planted, up and growing. My onions have got hit back and they may get hit again. I don't know. Not a good onion year. But the problem that you see with doing the onions right now is if you try to see them in the store now, those onions have been sitting there since the middle of January. So not only are we running out of time, because you're going to have to grow the leaves, and those things will start bulbing up about the 1st of March. Once they start bulbing up, it doesn't do any good to fertilize. Your tops aren't going to grow anymore, and your tops is what's going to determine how big your bulbs are. So if you haven't grown that top out by March 1st, you're kind of out of luck. And the problem with growing them now, man, I should have brought water. The problem with growing out now is they're going to be stunted, not going to grow well. Stop it. Okay, I got water now. English peas is too late. Okay, they're not going to. By the time they start making, it's going to get hot and they're going to die on you. Field peas or southern peas, cow peas, whatever you want to call it, they're just like okra. Don't plant them too early. You want to plant them by May 20th, but April 1st, 1st of May. I like planting. I really like getting my everything else up and growing, doing really well, and then I'll go plant my peas, your field peas. Sometimes I'll plant behind when I pull my potatoes. So that's kind of how late you want to plant them. Peppers. It says here March 1st to April 25th. I would not plant my peppers before May 1st. It's truly one that you want to wait till Easter to plant your peppers. The reason being, peppers do not like the cold. You will stun them. They won't produce as well the rest of the year if they get a cold spell on them. If it gets down to 30, if it gets in the 30s, it's going to stunt that plant. I think really they say you shouldn't get them below 45 degrees. It just don't do it. I mean, and there'll be years that people say, oh, we didn't have a very good pepper year. Some of the problem is they bought them from the stores, and guess what? We had a cold snap, got down in the 30s, well, they're still sitting outside at the store, so they still got stunted. So be aware of that. If they could have a cold snap, good idea to go ahead and go ahead and buy the pepper plants, bring them inside, let that cold snap go over, and then go out there and plant them. But peppers do not like the cold. Peppers do not like you to mess with the roots either. So just put them down the way they are. Don't sit there and try to mess with the roots and spread them out and all that stuff. You're going to stun it. They're not going to produce as well. Grow them these kind of trays here, they won't be tangled up. But then if you have to do what I've had to do is up bottom, then you lose that. Your roots not circling, not getting the circular roots. Radishes, you still plant radishes because they make so quickly all the way up to April 15th. So again, you can space out your radishes because the radish is going to make in 30, 45 days. Spinach, they plant spinach already. So they're saying February 15th. You also have to have, spinach hates acidic soil. So if you're in East Texas and your spinach is not growing well, you probably need to add some lime to bring your pH up because they won't handle that. Squash, your summer squash is March 20th to May 1st. I will say it's one you want to push it on that May 20th because of your squash vine borer. You want to get those in and making before the squash vine borer hits them. That's been a really bad thing for us. And I skipped the potatoes. Okay, Irish potatoes, they're saying here from January 15th to February 20th. Now today is February 20th. Couldn't do it. Some people planted last week. The problem with planting last week is the fact that we got 5 inches of rain a couple of days ago. It's cold outside. Those plants aren't going to do that. Those, you know, these look good. I mean, they're ready to plant. There's no problem at all. I mean, they've got nice little eyes on them. They look real good. I could cut them and plant them. But if I'd have done that, chances are they rotted. Because 5 inches of rain, that's just too much rainfall. The potatoes look good. I mean, these even got the little green ones growing here. They're doing good. You know, they're ready to plant. But if I would have planted them and we got 5 inches of rain, they probably have rotted on me. So look at the long range forecast on your potatoes. You can plant them a little bit later than that. You know, you want to plant your potatoes start somewhere between February 14th and March 1st, and you'll be all right, okay? So this, I do disagree with this one. You can plant them a little bit later, and I like to plant my potatoes, and then once I get them harvested, then I will go and I'll plant my sweet potatoes behind it. They're saying sweet potatoes can be planted anywhere from April 1st to May 20th. They can be planted later than that also. They don't produce quite as well, I found out, but you can do it. It's probably getting, you know, pretty close to time to go ahead and start your slips. So if you want to start, you know, you can take a container, fill it up, cover it. And I'll show you how to do that later. But it's getting pretty close to time. You know, I'll probably start next weekend, not this coming weekend, the weekend after that, start my slips. But I'll probably keep the slips inside. If you plant them outside, they don't like the cold either, but they just won't sprout on you. So, you know, your tomatoes, March 1st to April 20th, you can cover them if all you have is a frost. But if I would plant them last weekend and then we're getting down to 24 degrees, it'll wipe them out. So they need to be planted out. I will plant them out this weekend. I'm going to plant half of them, I think, if I can. Again, Saturdays are rain. It may rain all day. Sunday is supposed to rain all day, and I go back to work on Monday. So it's kind of those, you know, you kind of garden when you have to garden when you can, but you know, we are going to kind of wait on that. The last thing I'm going to mention is the turnips. It still got time for it, January 15th to March 15th. So anyway, the only other thing I did want to show is, let me show you the other tomatoes that I've already planted up. I did do some of these. Now, I did not put a row in here because I didn't want to crowd them anymore. So I'm trying to keep them spaced out so you have some space in here. And they get to the top of these lights, so I'm having problems there. These are the ones I put in the 3.5 inch pots. They're looking good. You know, they're ready to go out. I wish I didn't have to pot them up, but they was getting so crowded. Because you look up here, these were getting really crowded. So since I pulled some of these out, it did give these some extra room also. Now my pepper plants, I planted those and they're coming along. They're looking all right. Let me do them like this so you see the names of them. But that's the Relay, Habanaba, and the Gypsy, the yellow one, and then Jimmy Nardello. And finally, I got some that just had single ones coming. I planted 2 per cell on all of these. At least you got one dry there. And for a while, these 3 all came up. All of them doubled, so it doesn't do me any good because I have to cut one of them off. But anyway, I'll water these center ones again. And I got them underneath this light here. And this is a fluorescent light, and it puts out a fair amount of heat. So it will give it some extra heat. And sometimes it'll also burn the tops of the tomatoes if they touch it. So you got to watch out for that. But anyway, that's kind of what you need to plant in March, and what you need to hold off to plant in April. I hope this helped you in your plans on your planting your garden. Hey guys, it's getting that time. We're fixing to go full bore on this stuff. So thanks for watching. See you next time.